Everyone, it's Bart and Stacy from the Sound Couple, and we are headed off to a gig in the car, and you can see it's well packed here. We did do a mini checklist and got out of the house on time, go figure, and not having to go back, and we're headed off.
We're well on our way, and it is New Year's. Happy New Year's, everybody. You forgot the most important thing here.
Uh-oh.
That is, instead of being across the street from the band, we are...
That's right.
Last year, we were across the street from the band, and this year...
we are actually working with them.
Yes, it is another year down for the Sound Couple. We are headed about an hour from our house to a casino. This place we have never been to, and we're doing things a little bit different. We don't have the van, we just have the car. Our goal with this gig, or our ask, was to run the sound. They have a house sound system there, and to augment some of the lighting. And that is primarily what we got back here, including our PreSonus rack mixer, because they have a Pro 2, I believe, and I am not familiar with that console. They were okay for us running our own. From a technical side, what's going to be a little bit different is I was told they run subs off the aux, so I get a left and a right, a center, and an aux or sub feed. So I think for the center and the sub, I'm going to run those off of matrices. I'll adapt to that. That's what this is all about when you're coming in on somebody else's system, is to adapt. I will try to get some of the equipment listed for you guys. That was a big question from the Christmas show we did a little bit earlier, as some of you guys wanted to know what they were using. All fair questions. One of those things where you're coming in, it's not going to change. Just work with what they have, listen with your ears, and make it work. There was one more thing I want to just mention quickly, is we've been working really hard on getting a lot of videos together for you guys, and one of the things that I've noticed is just our fixation on time and our fixation on getting information. And I was thinking, it was like, what is going on there? Why is that? I think part of the answer is that the longer we've been doing this and the older we get, we don't like surprises as much. I have a feeling that's playing into a little bit of our higher anxiety that I feel like we're operating under with our gigs, where maybe perhaps some people that are newer to it or younger, they are just more, they haven't seen as much as we have, and then in addition to that, they're just a little bit more used to well, we'll just figure it out. We'll just figure it out. So I think the challenge for us for this following year is to just, for me especially, is to just relax a little bit more. I think we generally come over prepared for the gigs. We've never not had it work and just know that we can do that. But I think as we adapt, get another year older, being able to just keep the stress down, anxiety down, the gigs will take care of themselves. This is a great example. I could be on edge about this one, but we know the band, we got our system. I got Stacy here, she's going to be setting up the lights. We got about 3 hours to get everything set up. So I'm just going to be relaxed today. We'll see you there. We're going to be here at 3 o'clock. Maybe the door is already open, but if it's not, we'll give them a call.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That would be because
I wonder if should I just pull up?
I just pull up.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's see what's going on here.
There's your front bill. What's that coming up at? Front of house? No, it's coming out of right here. No, I mean, is that coming up as front of house?
$40, so it's like $10 a pair. Yeah.
So it's back there.
Okay, so that's what I thought. Okay.
I mean, it's coming up here, but we
Yeah, right. Okay, so then this one is, okay, so this one is no right.
That's no Sound Couple bullshit.
Okay. There you go. Is that under front bill?
All right, we're good.
juice for me. Oh yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, well, he has the front fill marked as outfill. That is.
What? Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen you guys, and I've seen lots of guys, but I'm generally always mixing somewhere. I'm not usually a house guy. Just, right. I usually mix somewhere. There, you got it. Shaky Jake. Oh, Shaky Jake.
Well, pause the video. Wait. Bart said earlier he was going to be a lot more relaxed at the gigs, right? And what did you just see? You saw him shake his hands in frustration. And I wanted to explain a little bit more detail what was going on there. We were tapping into their system, and like I mentioned earlier, we we're going to take a left, a right, a sub, and then we also found out that we were going to get the monitor, which was good because at the front of house location, it was quite a distance away. Here was where my frustration was coming from. It was taking way too long to run these lines. And then the band showed up and we wanted to get through sound check. But this is what happened. It was a combination of two things. And this is where I say it's the little things that can add up that can make things more difficult than they really need to be. What was happening is Dave, the house guy, was having some difficulty knowing which lines were for which. And that happens. And so we were working through it. And he was hooking things in, and then I was testing it, hooking things in, I was testing it. And really it was going okay. But what really got me frustrated was we were troubleshooting everything from his perspective. And I could see signal, and there was some things we needed to change around. But I get extremely upset when it's ultimately our gear that's causing the problem. And I feel bad. It was a combination of both things, but ultimately one thing on our side. And that was that on our PreSonus mixers, feels like every 100 times or so, at least one of the analog mixes fails to produce audio. There's signal, and that's what I was seeing there, but there's no audio. And so here I am telling him, nope, not working, and he's scratching his head. And it turned out to be our damn mixer the whole time. And that, I don't want to say that's the first time it's happened, but it's like when these issues happen and it's on us, that is extremely frustrating. The other thing is that we had our NSB Stagebox over by where he was working. Why didn't we just run the lines into our outputs on our NSB? Number one, it would have been shorter. Number two, even though this issue happens, it wouldn't have happened on the digital sends. So that was my frustration, is that we were troubleshooting two things. From all indications, everything was on his side. And some of it was, but we were trying to get the center mix working, and that was on my side until I moved it to another mix, turned it up. That's when you saw my moment of shaking my hands. It's like, oh my God, it's us, not him. I subsequently power cycled the mixer, and the mix that was previously not producing any audio started producing audio. We can chalk this up to that gear is going to flake out every now and again. We all know that. We all experience it, some more than others. This was just a situation. If it was on our PA system, on our gig, it wouldn't have been such a big a deal. But when you're in a more high pressure situation with an unfamiliar system, you're working with somebody that you're trying to establish trust relationship in, and your gear fails you, I believe that is a situation that warrants a little bit of aggravation on my part. But unfortunately, that kind of set up the rest of the evening, and we'll continue on with the video and you can see what happens next.
Two, check, hey, 1 2 1 2, yeah, 1 2, yep, check, hey, 1 2 1 2, yeah.
check. Hey, hey.
Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2, all right. Check 2, 1, 2. Yeah. All right. Check. Hey. Yeah. Yeah.
We have the room to ourselves, some flying flutters.
Joe.
Okay.
This is Rudy. This is Rudy. This is Rudy.
All the way back to 91 freestyle. Sung by Banana Run. Cruel Summer.
Well, everybody, it is backstage. We got this luxury here. This is nice. This is really nice. Anyway, we're going to take you around and show you what we ended up with. I think it worked out pretty good, don't you, Stacy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think better than the other casino where
Yeah,
you're left to fend
you know,
for yourself.
We don't, it's very well supported. Actually, that leads to a really good point. Their house guy that's here tonight is an old acquaintance from many years ago from a very national music chain. And he was one of the pro sales guys there for years. So I haven't seen him in probably 20 years. And so, yeah, we're in really good hands tonight, which is very nice when you're coming in as a guest. Let's come on over. This is Stacy's world right here. So what we're doing is we're running a few things. Stacy's not running UC Surface. She's running Luminaire. So we're actually dividing up everything by 4 people, right?
Yes.
We got me, I'm running front of house.
Yep.
We got Stacy, who's running our familiar lights over here along with our Freedom Sticks. And then Dave, the house guy, he's running lights and supporting us. For mixes, what we're doing is we're running left, right mains, and then we're running aux fed subs, and then we're running a center fill, and then back by the soundboard, we're running a monitor. And I'm going to show you guys a little secret. This is, I didn't plan on doing this, but I tried it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just trying to make my life easy tonight, and it works just fine. What I'm doing, so I have my sub, center, and then my monitor. But what I'm doing for the sub is I'm just feeding the main channel out of my matrix into the sub. So I'm cheating as far as running aux-fed subs. I'm just putting the main bus in there, and I thought it sounded great. Now I'm not having to mess with faders on all the channels that I want bass in. I'm sure some of you guys will like to hit me for that. Come on out. So this is where you're going to be tonight, Stacy. We got special permission to use our hazer tonight. The biggest thing with the hazer is making sure you got permission. I said that, right?
Yes.
And they had to zone it out, but it's New Year's. They accommodated that. But the biggest thing with hazers is dealing with stage fans. So I really had to focus on the system tonight, and I needed Stacy to be looking at moving the hazer and moving it around. The drummer, it was blowing into the drummer a little bit. Anyway, hazer is a thing to make sure you're maximizing, you're trying to cover everything. I'm controlling it with Luminaire from my iPad, so that's fine, but we just needed to get it in a good location. I think right here is what's worked, and Gordy's fan here is kind of helping it along. The mains here, they're Martin Audio. He doesn't know the, let me see if I can see. Or maybe you can get up there, Stace. We got JBL subs that I guess only the two outside ones are working, which is completely fine. Martin Blackline. We did sound check. I don't know if you caught any of that, Stacey.
A little bit, yeah.
But you were in back anyway. But plenty of system in here. And then the familiar Rhino setup. We had to deal with some stuff back here. We had to do some work on figuring out the lines for the mains and the center fill and all that. Got through that. Got to do some logistics here to get their monitor rack in here. That's the house monitor console. We got that covered up. Oh, the lovely balloons. Stacy, comment on the lovely balloons.
This is New Year's. Tropical.
Tropical.
If we were
It's a
in
tropical
Hawaii.
New Year's, yeah.
If we were in Hawaii.
In all seriousness, the really nice thing about a room like this, how many places do you see, we'll go back there. How many places do you see that actually have that we get to work in that have a real stage,
Yeah.
a real PA system, the real light show? They have lights for the dance floor, they have lights for the fronts here. It's just, we're doing some supplemental stuff, and it's all working, and it's just nice to see rooms that still are set up for live music. We are at Front of House World. It's a Pro
1.
We are not
16 channel.
Well, it's 16 fader.
Oh, okay.
It's probably at least 32 channels.
Okay.
Here's the lighting board. It's a
Wow.
Grand MA3. That looks pretty impressive. One of the big variables for me tonight is making sure that this is going to be a test of our Wi-Fi here tonight, Stacy, and this is where
Right.
it's. He told me 50 feet. This is more like 100 feet at least, 100, maybe a little bit more, and so that's really my biggest concern. I mean, and I can walk, and if I lose it back here, I'll just go up. The other thing we have is we have our monitor up there, and I got that working, so that was another thing. That was nice, and we just set that up quick so I can have a monitor feed. We're just waiting. We're starting at 9 o'clock.
So we have a little bit of time.
We're going to go eat something right now, and yeah, hopefully there's a lot of people here tonight, huh? We'll see. Yeah, it seems like you're playing well together. You're probably more responding to her than she is to you, but... Who's that? My wife is running the light. Oh! Yeah, because that's funny. I should have just asked you, what do you want me to do? I can do something.
Super loud. This is like my Super Bowl moment. This is me passing the Justin Jones
Jefferson. Back in the end zone, Super Bowl tonight. Go ahead, we go. Sit down. Question is, who wants this? All right, we are down to 30 seconds. Make some noise. We are down to 20 seconds. All right, you guys, noisemakers ready. Let's count this down. Are you guys ready? Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New
Happy New Year, everyone, from the Sound Couple. And this is not where we expected to do the recap from last night's New Year's gig.
This is not a happy place to be doing the recap. In the van, driving home, going to bed is the place we want to do the recap.
And part of it, I think we tried to make a New Year's resolution of having a calm, smooth gigs with everything. And yeah, last night definitely got tested.
It was tested right off the bat. And it was pretty serious, everybody. And we didn't get a lot of footage last night. But thankfully, there was a lot of things covered. Mm-hmm. So to set the stage here, we were hired to mix the band on the house system. So the system was there, and to supply supplemental lighting. So the house has lights there. We brought in our additional movers and our freedom sticks just to augment, and the hazer. Mm-hmm. And when the band started, Stacy texted me. I didn't see our lights coming on at all. The house guy was covering the lights, so the band could be heard. We had a good sound check, and they could be seen. Mm-hmm. But she texted me, and you said,
I can't get them to work. They're not working.
The lights aren't working. Our lights are not working. And I looked down at my iPad, and then all of a sudden UC Surface goes poof, and I lost my network on my iPad. At that point, it was like, okay, we have a problem. I had to go up onto the stage. Fortunately, we had our MacBook Pro connected with the USB, so we could still control the mixer, but we had no presence on the network with any of our devices. Now, what happened? I don't know, and that's what we're going to be here to find out. I want to troubleshoot this with you guys. Let's get this figured out. But what did we do to get through the night to make the rest of the night a success? We have this little box labeled with emergency.
Emergency.
And in the box is this Apple Airport Express. And this ended up running the whole show for us last night. We were able to get back and recover in about 10 minutes, get all of our devices connected. The two things that I learned is that I need to bring an extra switch. I had to tear this one out of our rack because I needed a switch to support all the gear we needed connected. And we had to also type in our SSID passwords for the network. But yeah, 10 minutes and we were back running. This thing performed wonderfully, but we need to figure out what happened. And either A, the routers died on us, or B, did I mention?
Nope, you forgot.
Okay.
The other part of the checklist.
Yes, the do not be messing with your network before the gig. Now, we have this hotspot here, everybody, and this allows us to have internet when we're at the gigs. We forgot this last night. We got to add this to our checklist. We use this for a lot of different things, and we ran out the door without it. In our downtime, I thought, well, hey, let's try to connect our iPhones because they got the hotspot. Let's try to connect that and just see if we can use that. Well, it didn't work, and I don't think I've reverted the settings, and that may have tripped a issue within our network. So I need to see if that would have maybe caused the issue. And just so you guys know, so I don't get beat up too bad here, I do have a network background, and that may be to my own
detriment.
My own detriment sometimes. I gotta not be messing with our network at gigs in that capacity. Besides that, I mean, my counter to that point is that I can do a lot of things that a lot of people couldn't do. And one of those is I knew that at least to have this backup, and we were able to get everything back up and going. So it was a real test of all that. The band leader said that's what separates the men from the boys. We were able to get this figured out, get everything back up and rolling. I was really shook up after all of that. It was just a little bit hard for me to enjoy the rest of the night. But at the end of the day, we did have the backup. We did the gig.
The rest of the night went smooth, was as a gig should.
And your lights worked, the haze worked. But we need to figure out what happened here, and that is what we're going to take a look at next. To begin our troubleshooting, I got to put everything back, and I got to put this switch back, and it got me to thinking that we have a lot going on in this rack. We got a lot of cables, a lot of networking equipment, mixers, all that stuff. There's a balance of making it accessible, but making it clean, and you don't want to have cables longer than you need. But the one thing I do need to do is I just need to make sure that I'm leaving a little bit of slack on cables. I have a tendency to make all my runs really too tight in some cases, and that's what happened to me last night when I was trying to get this switch out. Now, ultimately, I'm going to get a backup switch so I don't have to tear this one out again. But it was a challenge for me to get this switch out of here. And if I have to do that again, I don't want to go through that exercise again. Even the power cord, I had it just really tight back there. So I took a few minutes and just untangled these cables from the back, and got as much slack out of them as I could. So if I ever have to pull this again, I can do this and not have to fight them. I've got the mixer hooked back up again. I had to pull the Ethernet cable out of that. And let's move on to the next step. Okay, I got everything hooked back up. I have this Ethernet cable running from my MacBook. I got the switch hooked back up again. Now I'm going to power everything up. And what I'm going to do is see if the issue is persistent. Now, of course, we power cycled our router and our devices, and a lot of times that'll clear up issues. But sometimes time can be an element that you need as well. And now that it's been sitting for a day, I'm just going to turn everything on and let's see what happens. I have my network, the computer networks information here, and I have universal control. And actually, so this is already showing a potential issue already. It's given itself a self-assigned IP address, and my computer just did as well. So this is telling me that we got to give this a minute. It'll take a minute for the router to get completely booted up. So I want to check, make sure our switch is back on. I see our mixer lights are flashing, the Ethernet connections, and it looks like the issue is still there. So this is what we don't want to have. Since the router is handling the networking and assigning IP addresses, they should be getting an IP address that is assigned by the router. When you see a 169.254, that is telling you that the devices could not find a DHCP server, and they're just giving themselves a default address. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get into our router to see if I can check that section that I made a change to. So the problem is right now is that our router is admin page is 10.0001, and it's not going to be able to find it because my computer has an address that's completely in a different IP range. I think what I'm going to do is we'll try to give my computer a static address, and then let's see if we can get into the router. Okay, this is good. Now it's saying it's connected, and there my router popped up. So now I can get into my router's configuration, and let's go check that setting that I made. And what I changed is we use what's called a wireless multi-bridge in the case if you want your WAN port to become your internet gateway. And it is still highlighted. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to hit apply. Now, why did making this change cause the whole network to quote unquote freak out? That to me doesn't make sense. It shouldn't do that, but let's see if it did. I'm going to go back and let DHCP assign my address again, see if it works. It still says not connected. Now it says connected, and there it is. Did you see how long it took for me to resolve this? And now look, my mixer has a 10 address. Well, this is hindsight, everybody. Why that change I made caused that problem, that doesn't make any sense to me. There we go, everybody. An issue that caused a lot of chaos in the calm of our controlled environment here, I was able to fix in just a minute or two. I was able to fix it last night as well and take away a few lessons, which I will share with you in just a minute. Well, everyone, at the end of the day, we are grateful for what we're able to do this type of work and to work with so many different musicians and bands. We don't take that for granted. But things that you are passionate about sometimes can be challenging. One of the things we're showing in all of our videos, and this one in particular, is just, it's tough out there. I'm hoping that by us providing you this information, that we're not looking like a bunch of idiots. If anybody reads the end of our title screen, that has meaning far beyond any of this, but it's just, I guess it's showing that we're human. We try to do the best we can, but sometimes there's problems. We're not here to come across like we got all the answers. We're just showing you what we do, for better, for worse, because I wish I would have had this type of information when I was getting into this. And I think that has a lot of value. I would watch our videos if I wasn't doing them. So thank you for watching. This was a challenging New Year's Eve. We're grateful for another year. It kind of bummed me out. It did bum me out. And I know Stacy, I was stressing her out because she saw that I was kind of not panicked, but really just not sure what to do. So I'm going to go over a few things with you. As many of our videos, most all of them, it's all about learning lessons and getting better and taking note and trying not to repeat the same mistakes. I think the checklist, we've kind of beaten that one to death. We have a lot of gear that's dedicated to every gig, and it stays in the van. A lot of it stays in the van. And some of these gigs we're moving things back and forth, or we're using some of this stuff for personal use. So I think the lesson here is to make sure that you have those things that are floating devices or floating things you use. You're using them in different locations. Even though you would say, well, I'd never go to the gig without it. But in this case, I put it somewhere else. I had it in another one of my backpacks and I just forgot it. So this thing right here, and this is true with a lot of life events, it starts out with a very simple issue and it just manifests and blows up from there. This all started because I forgot this device and I couldn't let it go. I think the other thing that I learned here is that we had like a 3-hour gap between our sound check and start time, actually a little bit longer. And it's always good to do a system check before the gig, which we generally do. But this problem took a little bit of time to manifest. So all our devices were connected. We tested the lights. So I don't think we failed in this case, but I think, or for all of us, to make sure you're doing the system check. I think the next thing is to have a backup plan, especially for system critical things. We've talked about carrying an extra mixer if you can, and anything that is like a critical central failure point to have redundancy. And in this case, we had our backup router. I would also say, in addition to have a backup plan, have that backup plan tested. And we didn't really have ours tested. And that's when I realized it's like, oh, I have to get more plugged in. And like, oh, I don't have an extra switch. Oh, what am I going to do? That type of thing could have been avoided had I actually tested it. But I give myself credit for at least having the emergency router. Then I guess the last thing I just want to share is that there's typically more than one solution to any problem. And we got this other thing called gig stress. And when you are under that type of stress and there are multiple solutions, what I did right here, I could have easily have, had I been thinking more clearly, that would have been a better, faster, easier solution. And it's just my brain didn't go there because I was thinking, well, first of all, I forgot that I made that change. That didn't dawn on me that change would have caused an issue. So I really was thinking that our router was having a serious problem, but that turned out not to be the case. And so when you're able to test and do this stuff in a controlled environment, it is amazing how much more clear we all think, or I think at least. Okay, well, that's enough rambling. This was a gig log like we've never done, and I really hope this has been beneficial and helps everybody out there just think about how they're doing their gigs. And again, I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is to make sure the gig happens. And through all of our faults, we always make the gig happen. We have never had a gig fail, ever. And we're probably in the thousands. So I'll give ourselves a little pat on the back for that. Sure, there's a lot of things we could have done better. There's a lot of mistakes we made along the way. Sometimes we've repeated them. I don't think this one will ever be repeated again. If you ever run across this again and you think back to this video, hopefully this will help you guys not make the same mistakes we are. Have a good one, everybody. We look forward to a wonderful year.